Indicators are piling up, clearly displaying the depth of the crisis, the madness waiting to happen, the chaos brewing underneath us. The bankers have been expanding the deficits using their debt-based monetary system to expand to levels literally never thought possible. Today, the US stands but a fragment of what it once was, overtaken by the ruling elite. The name of the game is control. Capital controls, bank holidays, financial crises, deflation, inflation, volatility, and everything else we witness is an intentional and methodical creation of the technocratic globalist elite. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we'll look at the 7 charts that show the US will collapse. Let's get into these charts right away. I'm going to cover them only briefly because they are self-explanatory, especially to those who are well educated here on the channel. We'll begin with this debt to GDP and impact to economic growth. The red line being the debt to GDP ratio and the blue line being the GDP. For those who can't see the tiny font, you're looking at over time going back from the 60s up until the present day, and you can see all the different presidents that they highlight over that time frame. And what we have here, particularly showing you from 1980 up until the present time, we have an extremely high rate of debt increase. That is something that simply cannot be managed. Something that is argued, and I'll talk about that in a moment here. Total debt increase greater than all other presidents combined. Lowest rate of economic growth. Coincidence? Of course not. That's just the way this has been working. They have been increasing the amount of debt, and it goes to show you how bad things are when you try to play those games. But it's done intentionally, of course. Structurally maintaining debt level. So what I often have a hard time with is the individuals within the finance industry or just other people who think they know what they're talking about will suggest that they can expand debt as much as they need. They can print as much money as they want as long as they can manage it. And quite frankly, I don't see a way at all how they can manage it. The debt has gone so far beyond what actual wealth is there, what real assets are underneath it, that it can't be paid back. There's not enough assets in this world to be valued at the level of debt that has been created. Mathematically impossible. Many people hope for a debt jubilee of some sort, but why would the technocratic elite themselves, who created this debt-based system, give everyone a free pass? It doesn't make any sense. Think one step ahead. Zoom out, as I like to call it. Zoom out, zoom out. Think about it just for a second. Why would they want to ruin their own system of control? They have us by their own hands. The countries themselves are indebted to the bankers. Why would they want to give a debt jubilee? Doesn't make any sense to me. If somebody has an explanation, please let me know. But this is what a lot of individuals don't understand. They think that the government is part of this ruling class, and that is absolutely not the case. Yes, there's puppets along the way, but they don't have anything to do with it. All the technocratic elite are offshore. That's not the way it is. They're foreign entities in a way. This chart is basically just showing you the expansion of different debts, showing you the different recessions along the way, showing you the total credit market debt to GDP ratio. It's a different way of looking at it, basically. Maybe interesting for you as well. The way I look at it is nothing more than expansion along the way. Total debt to GDP from the 1870 to the present. Very interesting because we can go back hundreds of years and see how it has all gone and taken place. Economic growth declining. That's what we're looking at right here. As you can see, there are different charts which show this, different indicators we can look at. But basically, we're in a cycle right now, a long-term cycle based on the Elliott wave and the Kondratiev wave, showing us that we're on a decline. That doesn't mean that there can't be periods of time when things start to rise, but it is on a decline essentially. What I would like to highlight from here is just 2 points, and they've highlighted with the purple squares or rectangles here. But basically, we need to know that when we had seen this previously, 1930s, we had the Great Depression, and we have this U.S. debt as a percentage of GDP increasing dramatically. And the only time we saw it at the same time that we have now, or what's much worse now, was during the Great Depression. So this is one key indicator to look at. Not a good buy. 76.44% debt increase gets 13% growth. And you can see the blue lines there being that growth slowly but surely increasing, even though they include all the illegal conduct that's taken place. So it's a fraud. But even going by that, you had this steady increase happening. Then you look at the debt expansion, it went off the charts in this case as you look at it over the past few years since the financial crisis. This can't be managed. There's no way that the GDP can ever add up to the debt. Total increase in debt is 7.75 trillion. Total increase in the real GDP is 2 trillion. It's a sad, sad show that they put on for us. So what's the solution? That's what I talk about in my book. Clearly, the solution would be to reduce the spending of government programs and reduce the size of government dramatically. The unfortunate result of this would be that people will not tolerate this and start to riot. They're used to these entitlements and they're not prepared to do without them. So the government has decided that the safest route is to print money and leave their future liabilities off the balance sheets. That's exactly what's happening right now. This is what people are not willing to acknowledge. Austrian business cycle theory. What I wanted to note from this, obviously, the Fed funds rate, something that I've shown repeatedly over and over again, the red line, since 1980 has been declining and now it's near zero. They're talking about the total credit market debt. If you can see it, it's the light blue shaded area on the right side there. And what they're highlighting is the Fed halts much needed deleveraging cycle, but that's not going to happen. Real deleveraging could occur on the personal level as people basically start pulling out their money. Even corporations could start pulling out their money, but the Federal Reserve and the central banks around the world will be there to pick up the pieces, of course, as a result, destroying all their currencies. The economic deficit. Economy grows faster than the debt, and they're basically showing you prior to 1980. And I would say that, at least on this chart here, that is barely occurring. And then you have the debt grows faster than the economy. And this goes as they bring down the interest rates. Of course, you have the debt increasing because people would just continue to take on more and more debt. And if you look at it today, people are taking on more debt than they ever have in their lives. Clearly evident with Canada, for example, at this time, but of course goes for the US, goes for the UK. Look at mortgage rates being so historically low. People are, in fact, taking out more debt than they can ever pay back. They're doing exactly what their governments are doing. The slow bleed economy. You could see this, the debt to GDP ratio. Once again, the GDP year over year change. Guess what? Things are declining. Things are getting worse over time. And they fill in those gaps with more debt, with more deficits, with more money printing, with more inflation. At least that's what they're trying to do. And as a result, things are getting worse. That's the deflation that's occurring. Real deflation occurring. False fiat money printing to replace it. Look at what's happened. It's not working. Clearly, it's not working at all. But it is their program, and it is going to be an absolute disaster. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate that. It helps to get these videos pushed up higher into the YouTube rankings. So if you appreciate them, please give me a thumbs up. If you could do so every time, I would really appreciate that very much. If you're not a subscriber already, you need to be a subscriber. I try to get a video out every single day with the most current information I possibly can, and I always try to get these videos posted right away. I don't necessarily make 20 videos and then post them all. I like to just be very current with the information, so I hope you do appreciate that. If you found the video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. You can actually flip through the book. If you head over to Amazon, they have this look inside feature, and it will allow you to flip through the pages of the book to see if you like it. Take care.